But holy shit, yeah. Damn, that ending really man. I think there's gonna be more Mortal Kombat like story mode, right? I think like, well, let's do like a whole review, right? Like, where is it? Yeah, so the Khaiza has finished everything Mortal Kombat 1 story-wise, right? We have finished the MK1 cinematic, Marvel Cinematic Universe story mode. My impressions of this story mode, yeah, it's pretty goated, right? Like, I dug it. Yeah, like, I think I would put this like above MKX's story mode, right? Not gonna lie. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. I definitely dug this story mode a lot more than MKX's. Cause here's how like I would rank the cinematic story modes for just the Mortal Kombat games, right? MK1 at the top, then MKX as second, MK11 and the DLC expansion as third places, tied for third places, and fourth would be Mortal Kombat 9, right? Yeah, but this story mode was pretty cool, right? It had like a lot of themes, right? And all four of the Mortal Kombat story modes were like after like, or well, starting at 9 to like 1. They were essentially retellings of old school Mortal Kombat games. Cause MK9 was basically a retelling of the events of Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, right? Those were the that's what the central plot is of Mortal Kombat. Then MKX was Mortal Kombat 4, right? Because Shinnok was the main villain, and everybody who died in MK9 were either like reformed as good, confirmed dead, or just turned as a revenant by Shinnok's sorcery. And then MK11, which I think it was like a retelling of like some of the 3D Mortal Kombat games, right? Because like MK1 was a clear reference to MK Armageddon and Deadly Alliance, right? Those games. And the Khaiza has recently like learned more about Mortal Kombat lore, and it's that like Deadly Alliance was basically Shinnok's and Shang Tsung's duo partnership to take over the realms, right? And I think Armageddon was like every like single hero facing Shao Kahn's like predecessor, right? Onaga. And Onaga was like the Dragon King. So it was a little bit of like both Deadly Alliance and Armageddon. Well, there was also like deception there too, right? Because I think that was like the main key like theme of Mortal Kombat 1 story mode was, you know, the deception, right? And who to better like tip the hat to Shang Tsung, right? Yeah, it was like this game and the MK11 Aftermath expansion were just Shang Tsung, right? Shang Tsung was the key like focal character of the two story mode narrations, right? Cause hell yeah, dude, right? Shang Tsung is, with his quotes, deliciously evil, right? He is an evil asshole that will lie and worm his way to get the ultimate powers of godhood in the Mortal Kombat universe, and he relishes that. He does not reform, he doesn't have any second doubts, right? He knows what he is, right? That's Shang Tsung, right? And this MK1 played it off like handsomely, right? Because the main villain was Shang Tsung all along, right? All of like the trailers and like especially like at the beginning parts of the story mode in here were just like kind of alluding to, you know, someone other than Shang Tsung, right? Was it like Kronika? Right? Because like, but then it was later debunked that Kronika died in the events of MK11. So it was not far off to assume that like Shang Tsung would be like the pivotal villain, considering the events of the Aftermath expansion, right, where he was the central like focus character in that DLC campaign, right? And it's crazy how like this is kind of like a story mode that connects like both a good ending and a bad ending, right? We normally don't get like a sequel like game that connects like a good ending with like a bad ending, right? Usually they're always like branches from like a good ending, and that's really it, nothing else, because that the sequel is like the canonical ending from that like ending, you know what I mean? What's that? You are not prepared for 8 p.m. What the hell? Max Dude is streaming. I'll probably check him out. But the story mode in Mortal Kombat 1 is pretty fucking legit, right? I had like a lot of fun and a lot of like motivation just to like play like the story mode again. And I want to see how difficult it is on like, you know, medium, right? Because I think I'm tempted, right? Now that I'm like acclimated to like Mortal Kombat. I've played like 4 Mortal Kombats, chat. Well, played / watched like one of them. But I got like my fingers to work on Mortal Kombat like neutral, like strings and like special moves and shit like that. Still needs like some more practice, but yeah, this was like a really good like cinematic story mode to get you accustomed to Mortal Kombat. It's really fun. It's hella interesting. I really dug the what was it? Since this is Mortal Kombat 1, outside of like the retelling aspects of the Mortal Kombat story modes, they also have like other themes that make the MK story modes really charming as well, right? I don't know what MK9 is, but probably it's just like, you know, nostalgia more than anything, like retelling of like a classic. MKX was all about, you know, the Cage family and overcoming or finding their hidden powers, right? MKX was about MK11 was about like mothers and daughters, right? Especially with that a cold opening with like Sonya making the valiant sacrifice to save Cassie and the rest of the special forces. And Mortal Kombat 1 is like also the same thing with like the mother-daughter vibe with with Sindel, the new Sindel, new Katana, new Melina. And it pretty much is like, since this is a new timeline created by Liu Kang, everybody gets like their origin moment, right? Like, how did Kenshi become blind? How did Kung Lao get like his like saw blade hat? How did Raiden get lightning, right? Like, a lot of characters get their origin moments, you know? And not just like heroes, but also villains. Everything is like told in like Mortal Kombat like cheese, right? Also funny as hell just to like listen to fucking Johnny Cage spouting movie references here and there, right? Get away from her, you bitch. Excuse me, Ripley. Fucking, he's a walking like Family Guy episode, right? Like, it's funny. But he's definitely like charming, you know. Who did I like in the MK story mode? I would give it to like Baraka and Syzoth, right? Or Reptile, right? Because they're usually like jobber characters, but they don't get a lot of screen time in previous Mortal Kombat games. They're just there, that's it. And they had like a significant fucking presence in the beginning of their story mode, right? Like both Baraka and Reptile had like, they were family men, right? But then fucking Tarkod and Shang Tsung fucked them over, and you know, they wanna kill that bitch. Sindel is like not evil, but she's also very stern. And of course, you know, fucking another highlight character was, oh, the brothers, right? Well, that was one of them. That was one set of like characters as well, like Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Scorpion and Sub-Zero were amazing in this one, right? Because like Bi-Han is, well, Bi-Han's like an asshole, right? Like that's been that way since like MK. Well, he's like MK9 and MKX, right? He's just like the first Sub-Zero, so he doesn't get a lot of like pizzazz. And the one who gets more is Kuai Liang, right? And you get to see like the brothers just, you know, being brothers, but ultimately they had a falling out because Bi-Han's an evil bitch. Yeah, he just wants like power. He like killed the Grandmaster, which is his father, for more power and earnings. So it's like, man, Bi-Han's an evil bitch. I mean, of course, right? Bi-Han history in Mortal Kombat is that he was the first Sub-Zero, killed by Scorpion, then brought back by Quan Chi magic as like Noob Saibot, and yeah, he just like dies, right? He doesn't get like a redemption. But Kuai Liang is like the younger brother, and he wants to save Bi-Han. But it's crazy how Kuai Liang becomes like, you know, the new Sub-Zero. And after the fallout with his like brother, he organizes to do Shirai Ryu. So I'm wondering how that will like play out in like in this new timeline, right? Because Scorpion gets a revenge boner for Sub-Zero because Sub-Zero killed his family, his wife and son, right? So how would that play out? Because, you know, they're both from the same clan, but one just like wanted to like be his own person. Thank you for being a fan. Oh shit. And of course, right, since the game has like a post-credit scene, I 100% would honestly believe that Netherealm would be like in the works, aside from characters and stages and whatnot, that they would definitely be in the works for an Aftermath expansion like Mortal Kombat 11, right? Because from what I remember is that the Aftermath expansion really sold MK11 by a holy metric ton, right? Like that expansion fucking skyrocketed Mortal Kombat 11's post-launch, because it's like a fighting game, like it's a fighting game DLC campaign, right? And of course, you know, the overall arcing thing is that, you know, it's a fighting game series, right? Mortal Kombat, before MK versus DC, right, didn't really have, or generally any fighting game didn't really have like cinematic story modes up to Mortal Kombat's level, right? Yeah, they were just generic like 7 or like 8-ish battles. Then you get to fight a rival, and then you get to fight the big bad of said like game, right? And you know, it's not really like entertaining because, you know, this has been that way since like, you know, the 1990s, right? That's been like the formula for a lot of like archaic fighting games. And lo and behold, here comes like Netherealm, right? Or THQ at the time, right? Making all these like cinematic story modes that like defy the mold of what it is as a fighting game like story mode. Some companies have tried to make their own versions of a cinematic story mode, right? Capcom and Arc System Works, for instance, right? But they tried, but they didn't really like, get that level of appeal like Mortal Kombat did, right? I think it's only because Mortal Kombat has its own formula and it does it right. When Street Fighter tried to do the A Shadow Falls campaign, it was so like lackluster that it was Capcom was just literally copying it in the veins of Netherealm, because Capcom was in a bad position at the time, right? They were doing well with Monster Hunter and other projects, but they were doing abysmal with their fighting game department, and the one that cemented the stone was MVCI, right? Until they brought themselves back up with Street Fighter 6, and Street Fighter 6 technically has like a cinematic story mode, right? But like I said, with Mortal Kombat with its own formula, Street Fighter has its own formula, right? With the World Tour, like you get to literally play Street Fighter the JRPG. You get to create your custom avatar, you know, do persona stuff with like your masters in the Street Fighter world, learn their styles, and then, you know, fight like the big bad, which we need to like go back to Street Fighter World Tour one day, right? I miss playing that mode of the game. It was a lot of fun. But other than that, right? I would love to like, I think like the second best like story mode, right? That can kind of compete with Mortal Kombat is probably Tekken, right? And like the Tekken 7 story mode, from what I've heard, is pretty goddamn awesome, because a lot of like Tekken is like, you know, cutscenes, and there's like, you know, a prelude of a fight, you know, kind of like that leads to a fight, you know? Like you get to do, like, you get to reenact certain moments of, you know, Tekken lore, but also continuing up the Tekken, like, timeline. And it plays off, like, so well. And of course, you know, it has some of, like, the badass, like, moments in, Tekken history, right? Final fight between Heihachi and Kazuya. Akuma becomes, like, a canonical, part of the Tekken story, right? So we're probably going to be playing that like sometime soon. We just don't know when, right? Probably when like the next trailer for Tekken 8 comes around.